Well, when we met, Naomi, she's an extremely perceptive person. She told me, Sam, listen, this is sort of what I'm going through. I remember that very clearly, and she said, this is who I've been. Do you really think you want me? This is what she said. And I mean, I was young, and I always thought I could conquer the world, and I said, yeah, that's okay. We'll work through it together. I was 20, she was turning 20, she was 19, and we had the world ahead of us. I figured we would sort it out at some point.
It's not how things began to unfold. When did it become a crisis?
We had a good marriage for a while, and I was always very driven, very ambitious, and stuff like that. And because of all the things that Naomi, and I mean, poor lady, she wouldn't tell you all the details, perhaps, maybe we just don't have enough time, but she did go through quite a bit, and in the hands of some people that she really looked up to, people she loved, people she cared about, and it shut her down. And
you're talking about abuse, obviously.
Abuse, lack of encouragement, and stuff like that. Just allowing a 5-7-year-old child, you would think someone would spot something, even though she functioned, I guess, fairly normally.
And yet, Naomi, you've said that home wasn't a comfortable place. You talked about feeling alienated at school, but you didn't feel better coming home.
Actually, as a child, home was comfortable. It was as I got older, and as we were married, it wasn't comfortable because I just felt so unaccomplished, because I was so concerned about what the world thought of me. I couldn't just go out and get things done, be it a regular job, because I didn't have the formal education to have a career. Then I had to settle for regular jobs. And to work in an environment like in a retail environment, I didn't want to be there, because I may have met peers from high school who might say, well, this is what you're doing, you're just at this place in your life.
And they had more sparkling careers.
Yes. So that kept me down, because I was so concerned about being judged that I could not provide for myself and my family. Yes. So it was, I don't know if it was so much easier to stay home, because while I was home, I was feeling tortured because I wasn't supporting my family financially.
But this guy was working, weren't you?
Yeah, yes, he was.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. And more, to be honest with you, it wasn't so much that Naomi wasn't contributing perhaps as much as she thought she could have financially. I think for me, if we go back, I had said to her at the time, it really didn't matter. Even if you were just volunteering, if you were sweeping the streets, it didn't matter. I think for me, what I was looking for was passionate living, you know what I mean? Just to pursue something with zeal was what I was looking for. And, like she said, there were so many things that were shutting her down, what people would think. And a lot of it had to do with the kinds of experiences she had had. People comparing her with other people. And for a long time, I did the same thing.
Well, maybe you're not Mr. Driven.
Yeah.
You're like the opposite. But no wonder you attracted just magnetic poles here. You've got energy to burn and confidence to go with it.
Right.
And you had dreams.
Yes.
And these problems in the home, blessed with twins, boy and a girl.
Yeah.
But things started to derail, and your attitude changed.
Yes, it did. I think after feeling that, okay, we got married young, and you know, my friends were going forward. Here I was in a country, and I mean, the immigration alone was something else. I was shut down, I didn't have my papers took 10 years to be processed. So here I was, loving to go to school but couldn't, wanting to get into a career but couldn't. So there was a lot of things that were causing me frustration. And I think I just sort of blamed it all on this woman.
And of course, he couldn't understand why I couldn't take those opportunities. Yeah. After all, I was the one sponsoring him. I had all of the papers, I had everything set, you know, and I should have been able to pursue the things that he couldn't. And he couldn't understand why I couldn't just get things done.
And this all came to a crashing place, which resulted in you asked to be taken to the hospital, didn't you,
I did.
Naomi?
Yes.
What a terrible night that was. You were driving, Sam.
Yeah.
And Naomi actually asked for you to pull over to get into the back seat. Why did you want to get into the back seat of the car, Naomi?
I was so hurt, and I was very angry with him, and because I was no longer his world, and he just came and went as he liked and didn't feel he had to account to us, to me and the children, as to his whereabouts. And so I was very angry.
You were afraid you were going to grab him or the steering wheel or something. You got to the hospital, and here is the tragedy. This is the first, am I correct, the first medical intervention in your crippled world.
Yes.
Your depressed, anxiety-filled, crippled world in your whole life.
Yes.
You hadn't seen a doctor about this. It was your first prescription for antidepressants.
Yes.
You're heading home with at least the hope of some relief.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I think it had come to a point where just prior to taking her to the hospital, and like you said, that we were driving, and Naomi basically said, like I said, she's a deeply perceptive person, very, very intelligent, and this thing shut her down for a long time. She said, put me in the back seat because I'm afraid I might do something to harm us both, okay? So we went through all of that, and coming home, by that point, there had been so much damage that had been done. In terms of my thinking, and you know, like she said, I would go out and not really account for my time. I didn't care anymore. And so when I came back, I left. I didn't know what else to do. I basically left Naomi and the kids and just took off.
How old were the children?
It was about 2001, so the kids were 10 years old at the time, yeah.
Now this would begin a downward spiral for you, Sam. You lost your job at the bank. You did get another job in telemarketing?
Well, I had been a stockbroker and then joined one of the big banks, you know, became a manager there. And there was so much stuff going on in my life. I remember walking into my VP's office, my director's office one day, and wonderful, wonderful woman. And I broke down. I was just bawling. I couldn't handle what was going on in my life. And she said, you know what, Sam, I think you need to take some time off. And I said, yes. And I took some time off, went to see a psychologist. One meeting, and I knew that wasn't for me. Because it's that particular psychologist anyway wasn't helping me, and I left. I went and got a room somewhere. Didn't have a job at that point. Had a bit of money. Can't remember. We had some savings or whatever. So I had a bit of money, and it just kind of carried me on until I ran out. And then, of course, the men's shelters and homes became the place for me to stay.
This is really bad.
Yeah. It was.
Did you have contact with your children through that time?
Sparsely, not. I mean, I was in a pit, and the natural reaction was to just shut down. So for the first little while anyway, I didn't even have a place to put my clothes. So I was moving about. We weren't in touch quite as much as we should have been.
Now this is going to sound completely unbelievable, but it's true. Somehow out of this dark pit and depravity in every way, emotionally, financially, you decided to start a new religion.